Too oftentimes we hear people talk about what we don't have or what they wish we had. So my approach to this is just to help share with people what all is available. When people start to become more engaged, then it just makes everything richer. Hello everyone and welcome to our community. Hi Ryan.
Hi Andy.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. So we're in our new studio.
Awesome.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. It's great. We are live today from the I've Decided studio. I'm so used to saying Widecast downtown Peoria. I didn't really think through that. But we are at the I've Decided studio. And is this the first week of podcast from here or the second week? I don't really know. The second week, I'm being told by our producer. The second week. So we're not the Virgin Voyage, but we are the second voyage here from the new home of the I've Decided vodcast, and this is our community. Today's Tuesday, February. Holy cow. I'm having all kinds of trouble today. I hope this gets better as we go. I wish it
was February.
But Tuesday, April 13th, right? So it is a great day. The sun is shining.
It is.
Woke up, my eyes open this morning, so it's a great day always when they start off with my eyes open.
That's right.
Right? I don't know how you feel about it, but that's kind of how I am. But today we are going to talk to you about the word surrender and how we can utilize the word surrender to improve ourselves, improve our outlook on life, be more successful, achieve our dreams and our goals.
Yeah.
All those things that I've decided is designed to do. And this is an interesting word because I think when you hear the word surrender, I don't know about you, but I think of giving up.
Yeah, throwing in the towel.
Yeah, raise the white flag, yep. Right? And kind of throw in the towel, like you said. That's a good way to put it. It's a good sports analogy there. Throw the towel in. I think of Rocky Balboa when I see the towel flying in the ring. But really, the perspective of what we're using this word for is not that.
No.
It's not that at all, is it?
No, it's kind of like letting go of the things that are holding you back.
Right.
And if you're not willing to surrender, it's kind of like those things, whatever they might be, it's kind of like trying to drive your car while you got the parking brake on, right?
I've tried that before. It doesn't work.
It's not good.
Not very well.
It's not good.
Not only does it not work, but it breaks other things.
Yeah.
When you do this, you have to be very careful. And I think that's a great analogy because if you allow the things in your life that you can't control to dominate your thought, to dominate your focus, you're not going to move forward.
Right. In anything, in your career, in your personal life, maybe something's holding you back from finding love or, new friends, things like that, new experiences.
Yep, that's right. So let's throw the definition out there.
Yeah.
Let's go through some of the logistics here that we like to do when we talk about these weekly winning words. So the definition for surrender, and I'll give you two of them. One's a noun, one's a verb. The first one, which is the noun, is the action of surrendering. Okay, pretty simple, pretty basic, makes sense. And the verb is cease resistance to an enemy or opponent and submit to their authority.
It's heavy.
Yeah, it is. It is. So when I think of the word surrender, my mind, I don't know why this is. I think it's because I grew up in a family that has given their life to Christ, has very faith-based, and when I think of the word surrender, that's the context that I think of it in most often, is to kind of give up, let go, and let God. Let go and let God. I remember that phrase being tossed around my house a lot when I was a child.
Sure.
And I use it now to remind myself of how important it is to give up and let go of the things that I can't control.
Right.
Right? God's got this.
Yep.
He's going to see me through this trial. He's going to see me through this disaster or whatever it is that comes, this storm in my life. If I just take a step back and understand what is it that I can control and what can't I control?
And that's the whole serenity prayer, right?
Yeah.
That's it's been popular for half a century now.
Right.
God grant me the wisdom to know what I can and cannot change.
Yep.
And the wisdom to know the difference. The courage
right.
to change them.
That's right.
And I'm pretty
That's
sure I
right.
botched that, but
No.
yeah.
But the point's well taken, and
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. That's exactly the foundation of that. So I immediately, when I saw the word and I started to prepare for the show, I immediately went to Scripture, because I typically do that anyway, is to try to find some Scripture that's relatable to the topic,
Sure.
so that my foundation is strong when I'm preparing. And I did that really, really quickly this time, because I have that context kind of already in my brain. It's kind of where my mind goes. But so I went to the book of Proverbs. A lot of great stuff in Proverbs,
Great stuff
right?
in Proverbs.
Lots of great stuff in there. But the chapter 16, verses 3 and 4, this is what it says. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. The Lord works out everything for his own ends, even the wicked for a day of disaster. Even the bad stuff in our life is for the good of his glory, right?
Yep.
And that's the perspective that we have to take, and I think that's where surrender kind of plays into this, is even when it's tough, even when it's difficult, even when there's bad things happening, it's going to work out for the good if we just have faith and trust and kind of surrender to those things that we can't control.
Yeah, and if you're a believing Christian,
Yep.
and
Which I am.
which we are,
Yep.
your plans will succeed. I mean, that's pretty great.
Right. As long as they're aligned with his.
Right.
Right? Which
Right.
means we have to give up what we can't control and allow kind of life to happen and understand that this is his will, not mine.
Right.
And I'm going to follow along and make sure that I'm doing things the right way. Control the things I can, let go of the things I can't, and know that it's all going to work out for the greater good of his glory, not mine. Right? And that's where humility comes into the
That's a pretty great promise, though.
It's a fantastic promise.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. So, if you read the article this week in Kim's email, and I know you have, and I know
Yep.
I have, because we've talked about it already, she did a fantastic job of framing this up. And we're going to kind of talk through that, some of the key points in the article. So there's 4 things that she said you got to stop doing, and there's 4 things that you got to start doing,
Right.
if you really want to embrace this idea of surrender.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to talk through that. And there's a part in the article that I'm going to read to you, and I don't typically do this, but I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read it to the viewers because it really struck home for me, and I think it's a great foundation for the conversation. And so it's just a few sentences out of the article. To surrender is the most powerful thing we can put to practice. Our mind tries to control everything it encounters. It's human nature, and it's the same for everyone. I believe that. Some of us are better at it than others. To understand what it means to surrender, we must be clear about what it is and what it is not. Surrender, it's not defeat. We started the conversation, right. Wave the white flag, throw in the towel. All those things are, I've lost.
Yes.
Right? That's not what surrender is. It's not defeat. It's not giving up or quitting. And it's not accepting less than. Surrender is not a strategy. In fact, it is where all strategies end. Surrender happens when we know what we do not know. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
And you got to think about it for a minute. It's understanding that you don't have the answer.
Right. Kind of knowing your limitations there and where your expertise ends.
Right. And then it goes on to say we simply do not have all the answers. Mm-hmm. To surrender is to give up what we think should be happening for what is actually happening. Right? Be in the moment. Surrender is always, and this is the great part, it's always accompanied with peace. And who doesn't want peace in their life?
We could all use a little bit these
right.
days. Yeah.
And when we get that balance, that's where we're at our finest. I know I am in my life. When I've got it right, and not as often as I would like it to be, but when I got it right, that's when I'm at my best.
Sure.
I'm going to be most successful at the why. I'm most successful as a husband. I'm most successful as a parent, as a coach, whatever it is that I'm doing. When I got it right, I'm in the moment.
Well, it's even as simple as, it even can be as simple as, for me, my wife is like, hey, we got some plumbing issues down here. You think you can take care of this? And take a look at it. And I know where my expertise ends, and I think about it for a little bit, and let's just call somebody who knows what they're doing. You got to let that the macho, the ego stuff go by the wayside. And yeah, I'm more at peace. She's definitely more at peace. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. So there's 4 things that we're going to talk about that we need to stop doing.
Yep.
And conversely, what do we need to start doing, right, in relationship to that? So we're going to hit them. Stop this. Start doing this. Right?
Stop and start.
So we're going to have a do and a don't, and then a do. The first one is to stop striving. And I think I have to say these together, because if I leave it at that, that's confusing. But stop striving and start thriving, right? So can you break that down?
Yeah.
Taking a shot at breaking that down a little bit for us.
So we often feel like we're spinning our wheels, right? We're not making any headway, so we need to stop. I know it sounds funny, but stop working so hard, and we get very busy, and feels like we're fighting a losing battle, but it's probably because we're holding on to things that we don't need to be holding on to. So we need to instead learn to thrive in those environments.
Right.
And maybe that comes in a couple of different ways. Maybe it's if you're a leader at work, you delegate, free yourself up to do other things. Or again, you just recognize that you don't know everything. You can't handle everything.
Yeah. Yeah, when I think about it, it kind of, this is how it works in my mind. I try to simplify things as best I possibly can, because simple is good for me. Simple is good.
Too.
So, I think when you're in a striving mode, you're just trying to get things done, right? You're just trying to get things done. I'm a box checker, right? Or
me too.
a list maker, and I love to scratch it off. Hey, I got it done. And sometimes when we get in that mode of just getting things done, we lose sight of the moment.
Yeah.
Right? We lose sight of where it is we are, what it is we're supposed to be doing, what's the purpose of this activity, really?
Yeah.
And how can I grow and develop through this experience?
You certainly don't enjoy it.
Right.
I mean, other than the satisfaction of crossing something off your list,
Right.
you don't get to.
The list never ends.
The list never ends.
Right?
And you don't. Yeah, there's no satisfaction there.
And while you're getting a lot done, you're not necessarily at your best, because you're not focused on the thriving part of it, which is really to grow and develop through that process.
Yeah.
Be in the moment. I talk a lot at home with my kids and my wife, and even the basketball teams that I coach, is we need to be where we are when we are there.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're in the gym at practice working on developing better shooting skills or defensive skills or whatever, if we're not there in that moment, our body and our mind, we're not going to be nearly as successful as we would like to be. So we have to put everything else aside and just focus on the moment to get the most out of that experience.
Yep.
And to me, that's what thriving is
Yep.
really investing in that time and that energy. And then it eliminates a ton of the stress that goes along with.
There's that piece.
Yeah.
Yep. So stop striving, start thriving.
Yep. So that's number 1 and 2, we'll call it, or maybe
Okay.
it's 1 and 5. I'm not really sure. But the second one is to stop controlling and then start relinquishing.
Yeah, this is framing up surrender in that more positive way, right? You're not. You're going to stop. You want to stop micromanaging everything, and again,
Yep.
it's not that you're giving up, but you are, letting go of some of the the things that make you feel so connected to needing that control over things.
Yeah.
And when you let go of the need to control, it lets go of you a little bit too, right? And again, you followed up with peace.
Yep. You know, I think, again, this is another one that Kim framed up really well in his article, or in her article. You know, when we talked about at the beginning, we don't have near as much control as what we think we do, or what we would like to think that we do. Right. And when we start to understand that and appreciate that, and give up the things that we don't have any control over, so there's certain things that you do control, right? You control a lot of the decisions that you make, right? And there's a lot of things that you don't, and you got to know what the difference is, and that's where you need to focus your time. And relinquish means to just give up the other stuff. Let the other stuff go, and if that means to delegate more at your job and trust your team that you have around you, then that's even better, because that empowers people around you who are going to help you be successful. And makes them feel better, right? So that's a really fine line too. And now that I'm 50 years old, you know, when I got into my mid 40s, I started to figure it out that, you know, I don't have nearly as much control as I'd like to have. And I'm a controlling person. I like to know what's going to happen all day long, right? I've got a calendar, and I got all my stuff in it, and I got all my tasks there, and I like to know that things are going to happen the way that I've set out for them to happen. But guess what? They don't.
Yeah, life gets in the way.
They don't, and I have to understand, and I've learned to kind of figure that out and just focus my energy on the things that I do have control over, and kind of let those other things go, and so they're not distractions or stressors for me. And it's easier said than done, but when you find that harmony, I think it makes you feel a whole lot better about who you are, which allows you to be more successful in everything it is that you do.
And when you're trying to control everything, that kind of control comes with a whole level of anxiety that, you know, to some extent, we're all dealing with anxiety today. And I think that's, you know, so we need to stop controlling everything, start relinquishing everything. And I guess, you know, that's where that anxiety piece kind of leads into the next piece, which is stop overthinking and start seeking.
Right.
And overthinking is something that my wife would tell you that this is where I get stuck. And I'm thinking of the same things over again. I'm working through the same scenarios instead of, you know, seeking out solutions and getting past that next thing. I just get in my own head a lot, and it drives her nuts. I know it does.
So you're a ruminator?
I'm a ruminator. Yeah, chew the cud.
Yeah, I love the way that was. I never actually heard that analogy before, but when I read it in the article, I thought, boy, that makes a lot of sense. And who wants to be a cow? Nobody wants to be a cow, right? So when you start to place yourself in the shoes or the hooves of a cow, and you start to think, well, when I do that, that's what I'm doing, is I'm just chewing cud and regurgitating it's kind of gross, really, to think about what cows do, but that's what cows do. God put them here for a purpose. But I don't need to be doing that, right? Yeah. So I thought that was a really great analogy framed that way.
Yeah.
Overthinking is ruminating, and ruminating is what a cow does. It chews its cud.
And this is something that we do on a personal level, but even in our groups, you know, we've got we all have meetings that we go to, right? And sometimes we have a tendency to get into you know, the same cycle of we're talking about the same things over and over again, trying to solve the same problems, that if we had just looked out ahead and sought out maybe the help we need, or get the tools that we need so that we can hold each other accountable, that we would we'd get past that. We'd move on. Yeah.
So when you overthink, think of it this way: it's the times when, you know, you're exaggerating events, right? Yeah. You're making mountains out of molehills.
Happens all the time.
It happens a lot. You allow when the mind wanders, it's a dangerous thing. Right? It just can become such an obstacle for us to get over. And I think the longer you allow it to go on, the harder it is to kind of get out of that pattern. Right? But when you start seeking and looking for the necessary information that you need to make the decision, the proper motivation to move forward, and the right people that you can engage in conversation with, or to resources that you can lean upon, then it becomes much clearer, I think, for you. When you surround yourself with people that are going to provide you great support, have good knowledge and experience, and can help shepherd you along the way, it kind of gets you out of that cycle. Yeah. Because you're getting out of your own mind, and you're getting into other people's mind and using their experiences to inform your decisions that you make, and that becomes a pretty sweet place to be.
It does. So
then the last two is stop resisting and start trusting. And we love to resist stuff.
Yeah, we do.
Even
the stuff that's good for us.
Yeah, it's usually the good stuff, right? And why is that?
I don't know. Maybe, for some people it may be they don't think they're worth it, or maybe they
self-confidence.
Maybe they don't think they can live up to the standards. Again, that's a self-confidence thing. Standards that they've set for themselves or that somebody else has set for them. I think there's a number of reasons why people don't do the things. I mean, think of it. We're talking about making decisions and not overthinking and controlling the things that you want to control. And at the Y, we try to help people get healthy. So, but they have to make that decision. It's one of the things. One of the things you can control is you can say, "Oh, I'm going to go for a walk today," or "I'm going to eat the granola bar instead of the donut," or so. Those are little ways that you can start. And we all have that thing in us that says, it's time for me to get in shape, or I should really, be going to church, or I should, but why are we resisting what's out there that's keeping us from doing it?
I think a lot of it is, at least in my experience, and I appreciate you bringing up the kind of the analogy at the Y, because I think becoming healthier is a great choice to make. But it's hard.
It is hard,
right? And I think and even saying that probably isn't even fair, because it's not as hard as we make it out to be. And I think it gets that way because we immediately we take where we are right now and we look at where we want to be, and we want to get there tomorrow, right? So we don't really put it in the proper perspective, and that's a really important thing to understand is, you got to do it in small segments, small goals to accomplish a large goal. So, for me, and I have a personal life experience kind of in this healthy living cycle. So several years ago, I was up to about 260 pounds, and I had a goal to get to 200, 210. And when I thought about 50 pounds, I want to be there tomorrow, right? And I kept saying, I'm never going to be able to do this, never going to be able to do this. Well, going back to the overthinking, stop overthinking and start seeking, when I got engaged with the right people who could provide the right counsel and the right training to help me through the process, it took 9 months for me to get there.
And you had to trust those people and trust the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it wasn't hard at all. It really wasn't hard at all. But in my mind, I made it hard because it had to happen overnight.
I think when we are talking about it's hard, we just know that it takes a commitment. Right. And that is sometimes not hard, but difficult for people.
Yeah.
So stop resisting and
start trusting. Right. And just to kind of bring this back to the spiritual perspective is for me, my trust is in my Creator, right? I put my trust in God through Jesus Christ, His Son, who came to the earth, died on the cross, saved me from my sins. I start right there. That's where I put my trust. And I got to know that all these things that I can't control, I got to give them to Him and move forward. Yeah. And I hope for everyone else out there, they have that in their life because it makes things easier. But you got to find the separation somewhere. Whether you're a believer or not, you got to be able to find the separation in all of this. Certainly makes it easier for me to know that I've got the Lord above who's on my side, and I can give him the things that are most challenging to me and trust him.
Definitely.
But, it's so much better when you can work with all the things that we talked about here. Start thriving, start relinquishing, start seeking, start trusting. When you get those 4 things going in your life, 4 things, 4 fingers for 4, it makes things so much more easier.
And those are things we want to work towards anyway. Who wants to overthink and be controlling and resist? Yeah,
those are all negatives.
Those are all negatives.
Right? They absolutely are. So you got to look at it from the positive framework. Well, hopefully this was helpful. Ryan, thanks again for joining me.
Have a great time.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming and being my co-host here. And great setup here.
Yeah.
Look forward to
Love it.
Continuing to see things how things develop here in the I've Decided studio. We're certainly happy to be a part of it at the YMCA. And I know that this Saturday is the big I've Decided virtual conference. It's coming up this Saturday. Some great lineups of speakers that are going to be presenting to you. I'm all right here virtually from the I've Decided studio. So if you haven't checked that out or signed up for it yet, go to the I've Decided Facebook page. All the information is there for you. And it's pretty simple to sign up, and you can do it from the comfort of your couch, your bedroom, your kitchen, wherever that may be. You can do it right there. And it's just a few hours on Saturday morning, and I promise you it will help you become more successful. And
Don't resist.
Yeah, don't resist.
Start trusting.
Don't resist. So thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next month, which will be May, and summer is almost here. And what a greater time, what better time of year than the spring and the summer and the feelings that gives all of us, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, ready for it.
Have a great day, everyone.